The bathroom door shook under his shoulder like a desperate animal trying to break out, water sloshing violently inside. Then my sister's voice cut through the steam, high and panicked. "Stop, stop, she's right there." Mark's fist pounded again. "Open this door." The same voice he used when he expected the world to obey him. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I didn't even blink. I turned the deadbolt until it clicked, loud, final, and pressed my palm flat against the door like sealing a coffin. Then I called my brother-in-law, my tone calm, almost polite. "You better get over here now." A beat of silence. Then, "Where are you?" "At my house." 5 minutes. The pounding stopped, not because he'd given up, but because he realized help was coming. Headlights washed across the curtains, car doors slammed, then another. I had come home early that Thursday, thinking about nothing bigger than dinner and laundry. Our street was peaceful, but inside, everything felt wrong. Curtains drawn, the air scented with someone else's perfume, water running down the hall. Then I heard her laugh, soft, familiar. My stomach twisted, a metallic taste rising. I walked slowly down the hallway, each step heavier than it should be. The bathroom door was cracked, light spilling out, steam curling like a warning. I pushed it wider. Mark was in the bathtub. My sister Tessa was there, hair damp, shoulders bare, laughing like nothing mattered. My brain froze. It was like watching someone else's life. Then Tessa saw me. Her smile dropped. Mark turned, calm, calculating. "Hey, it's not—" I stepped back, shut the door. My hands didn't shake. My body went cold, efficient. I slid the old lock, turned the deadbolt. Click, click. Mark shouted. Tessa pleaded. I walked to the kitchen, grabbed my phone, and called Evan, Tessa's husband. "Get over here. Now," I said. The moment I hung up, I knew. This was only the beginning. The truth waiting outside was going to hit harder than betrayal alone. Money, lies, survival. It was all about to become a battlefield. The pounding started again, harder, desperate. Mark's voice cut through the bathroom door. "You're acting crazy! Open it!" Tessa's voice followed, sharp, panicked. "You can't do this! Let us out!" I didn't flinch. I leaned my shoulder against the door, listening to them argue like trapped thieves. Mark's bravado, Tessa's pleading. It only fueled my calm. "Mark," I called Evan. "You have 5 minutes," I said under my breath. The gravel crunched outside, heavy, urgent. Car doors slammed, footsteps rushed up the porch. I opened the front door. Evan stood there, jaw clenched, eyes sharp. Beside him, Deputy Randall, uniform taut, alert. Evan didn't look at me first. He looked down the hall, seeing what I already knew. Betrayal made people reckless. "Is it locked?" he asked. I nodded. He stepped past me, silent, deliberate. At the bathroom door, he leaned close. "Tessa, open it or I will." His voice was quiet, deadly. Inside, frantic shuffling, Mark hissing, "Get dressed." Tessa's pleading floated through the steam. "Evan, don't do this." The door clicked. Knob turned. Mark appeared first, wrapped in my robe, hair damp, eyes rehearsing innocence. Tessa clutched my towel, mascara smudged, a shadow of her usual arrogance. Evan's eyes burned into them, disbelief and anger mingled. "Since when?" he asked. "Spring," Tessa whispered. "Months of dinners, holidays, smiles, all lies hiding behind familiar faces." Mark tried to charm, to laugh, to minimize. Evan's patience was razor thin. "Pack a bag. You're not coming home tonight," he said. Mark's smirk faltered. The moment the door closed behind them, the air in the house shifted. Quiet, but not peace. I opened my banking app. The transfer Mark had tried to sneak through was pending. I took screenshots, every detail, timestamps, account numbers, gold for the battle ahead. Evan's text buzzed. "Tessa's mom is calling everyone. She says you set her up." I stared at the message, bitter and focused. Of course she would. Family, allies of convenience, the world always ready to excuse betrayal. By the next morning, attorneys, orders, and plans would be in motion. But in that moment, the truth hung in the hallway like a storm. Mark's lies, Tessa's choices, my calm, and the knowledge that this fight had only begun. I took a deep breath. I wasn't just protecting my marriage anymore. I was protecting my life, my home, my future. And the real battle? It was just about to start. The house felt empty after they left, but not peaceful. The quiet pressed against me like a weight, reminding me of what had happened, and what was still to come. I sat at the kitchen table, phone in hand, staring at the screenshots, each one a small dagger of clarity. Mark had tried to move money, hide what he could, play a game he thought I couldn't see. I could see everything. The next morning, I met Susan Caldwell, the attorney who would be my shield and my strategist. Early 70s, silver hair, reading glasses perched on a chain. Her presence was calm but commanding, the kind of calm that makes liars squirm. "I need facts, not emotion," she said. I slid my phone across the desk. She didn't react to the drama. She reacted to the details, screenshots, timestamps, transfers. My invisible evidence suddenly had power. "She tried to drain your accounts?" she asked, eyebrow raised. "Yes," I said, voice steady. Susan nodded. "People under pressure do predictable things," she explained. "They reach for the same weapons. We just make sure they can't hide behind them." She outlined every step. New checking account, paycheck safe, no touching the joint account, document every penny. Temporary orders, exclusive use of the home, freeze on unusual transfers. Even Mark's attempts to manipulate or intimidate could now work against him. It was strategy disguised as patience, a way to stay calm while the storm raged. By noon, my phone buzzed with relatives and friends, Tessa's mom calling, spinning stories, trying to make me the villain. I stayed polite. "Thank you," I said, ending the call before I said what I really felt. Susan leaned back, expression steady. "Comfort isn't peace. People will pressure you to be nice. Don't give them that power." Hours later, Mark showed up at the house. Roses in hand, a movie scene smile, trying to pretend this could all be quiet and easy. I let him see my phone. The roses dropped, his eyes hardened. "You're going to make me the villain," he said. "You did that yourself," I replied. He tried to talk about splitting things quietly. No lawyers. I reminded him of his own actions, the transfers, the lies, the betrayal. Sweetness gone, control back. "You think you're smarter than me?" he asked. I didn't answer. I closed the door. 2 days later, Susan filed the temporary orders. The legal storm had begun, and every move, every lie Mark had tried to hide would now be exposed. The game had changed, and I was ready to play. The mediation room was cold, sterile, yet heavy with unspoken tension. Mark walked in confident, crisp shirt, polished smile, the kind that fools people into thinking he controlled everything. I didn't flinch. Susan Caldwell sat calm, eyes sharp. Her presence alone made me feel the shift of power. Mark slid his paperwork forward. "I think we're close," he said, smooth and practiced. "I've been fair." Susan didn't react. She laid out the facts. Transfers, ATM withdrawals, hotel stays, and expenses that didn't match household life. Mark's smile thinned, confidence slipping with every page. Judge Harland, retired but sharp, spoke quietly. "Full financial disclosure is required. Any attempt to hide assets affects outcomes." Mark tried to argue, to charm, to deflect, but Susan slid one piece of evidence after another across the table. Bank statements, screenshots, receipts, messages. His confidence crumbled. The rope he'd been given was for him, not me. Every misstep, every hidden transaction now worked against him. Judge Harland outlined the consequences: reimbursement to the marital estate, attorney fees, sanctions. Mark's voice grew sharp, threatening, but the weight of truth crushed it. I felt a calm power settle over me, the knowledge that preparation, documentation, and patience mattered more than anger. In the hallway, I saw Tessa, face bare, eyes swollen, clutching her phone. No longer the golden sister everyone excused, she looked small, exposed, and afraid. I led her into a quiet conference room. "I didn't think it would turn into this," she whispered. I know, I said, steady. It's time to face the consequences, fully and honestly. She admitted jealousy, longing, fear, and the choice that had thrown our lives into chaos. I didn't soften. You climbed into my life, my marriage, my home, I said, voice firm. Tears fell, shame heavy on her shoulders. Evan entered quietly. Tell her the truth, he said. Tessa confessed everything. The affair, the secret money transfers, the lies. I spoke slow, deliberate. You didn't have a right, not to my marriage, my home, my peace. She nodded, crying quietly, finally understanding that sorry isn't a magic eraser. We made a plan. Honesty, cooperation, accountability. No more lies, no more family pressure, no more excuses. I didn't promise forgiveness. I promised a path forward, where truth mattered more than comfort. The days that followed were tense. Mark tried subtle maneuvers, calls, small threats, but every action was documented. Screenshots, timestamps, and careful oversight created an unbreakable shield. Susan filed temporary orders, froze questionable transfers, and secured exclusive use of the home. Mark's threats, once terrifying, became meaningless under the law's quiet weight. On the drive home, I thought about families destroyed not just by betrayal, but by unpreparedness. Boundaries, vigilance, documentation, these are shields. I realized my calm, deliberate actions weren't revenge, they were survival. Survival in a storm of lies, manipulation, and deceit. And survival, I understood, is victory. I didn't win because I yelled louder or acted rashly. I won because I stayed calm long enough to see the truth, brave enough to act, and smart enough to protect what mattered. Mark and Tessa faced consequences, Evan regained peace, and I regained control over my life. If this story teaches anything, it's that honesty, preparation, and courage matter more than anger or revenge. In moments when everything seems to be falling apart, you can either crumble or act with clear eyes and steady hands. I chose the latter. And that choice, more than any